Has hating an anime ever sent you down a wild rabbit hole, causing you to descend further into the depths of suspicion, speculation, to the point where you pierce the veil of appealing sensationalism, shattering the curtain, exposing the artificial strings of influence and hype? I believe I have. With the recent rise of Korean and Chinese anime, and a lot of prominent anime and manga coming to their respective ends, this sets the stage for a struggle of balance that could influence the future of anime. With that in mind, I believe, in my opinion, Kaiju number 8 is an industry plan, and it is and was the sacrificial lamb to gain back influence within the anime industry. And by the end of this video, I will explain everything. Hi, I'm Josh, and before I explore my convictions, I must clarify a few things with you, as this is going to end up sounding like a pale imitation of Welcome to the NHK. I am not insinuating, implying, or suggesting anything. This is just a fun exercise with numbers and coincidences, all so that I can tear into an anime I don't like. For those who don't know the series, the story starts with Kafka, an ordinary 32-year-old janitor who was stuck cleaning the remains of kaijus defeated by the Kaiju Defense Force. He's come to accept that his childhood dream of joining the Defense Force is out of reach. That is until his childhood friend Mina, the captain of the Defense Force, saves him while he's cleaning up a kaiju body that suddenly comes back to life. While he's in the hospital recovering, Kafka is visited by a small talking kaiju that forces itself down his throat, granting him the power to transform into a kaiju. Honestly, it was a solid start, and I saw potential in the story. But then, I kept watching. The problem with a show that relies on having a plot where the story truly matters is that viewers expect it to go somewhere, and Kaiju number 8 feels like it's not heading anywhere. What I'm trying to say is Kafka's goal feels muddled and somewhat diluted. At first, Kafka wanted to be in the Defense Force. Perfect. They extended the age limit to allow him to join. He made it in. Damn. Goal accomplished. Actually, his goal was to stand next to his childhood friend Mina in the Defense Force. Okay, at least there's some direction here. But there's this undertone of him wanting to protect her. Like they were when they were children. Except she's top of the Defense Force and has 20 years on him. She don't need no protecting. She metaphorically has the bigger gun. Ah, there it is. Kafka's true goal, to be the coolest Defense Force member. They finally figured out the shonen goal in the writer's room. Lofty and ambiguous enough so they can define it later, but also to have something for the main character to flash back to when they are struggling during a fight. Honestly, should have just gone with the tried and true. I want to be the captain of the Defense Force. That shit would have worked. That shit would have worked. I get what they try to do. Kafka starts with having no way of achieving his goals. He now has this mindset that the ship has already set sail, and then he gets one more chance to make it happen, so he struggles with the concept of finally taking the steps to accomplish his dream, which would have paid off and made sense if the pacing in the show hadn't been so quick. It would have allowed for true character growth. Instead, we got poop and fat jokes in an attempt for Kafka to be relatable. Which makes me ask the question, why is he so out of shape? He states he's somewhat kept up with his training regimen, and all that time on the cleanup job? That does not look like an easy job. That man had the job equivalent of a high-risk logger. They were doing that without enhanced suits. Kafka even makes it a point when he's wearing it for the first time of how much easier the job would have been with the suit. To build on that, regardless of his age, he should be in decent physical shape because of it. But they give him a beer gut and he struggles with a few push-ups or any type of physical activity. At the end of the day, it's just poor execution to make him relatable. Just to throw this out there, I know most people complain about it being a typical shonen, and Kafka is a shonen teenager with the age 32 stamped on him. But I think it fits more into the description of a magical girl, since the magical girl genre did take elements from the tokatsu genre, the one from which kaijus originated. It also matches the description better. Magical girls center on young girls who possess magical abilities, which they typically use through an ideal alter ego in which they can transform. Just replace the phrases young girls with 32-year-old man and magical with kaiju, and it fits the description of the series perfectly. When looking at the series this way, the uncertainty of understanding your dream you don't want to give up on comes together a little bit better. Also, in magical girl anime, the girls lead long lives, and often it manifests as the girls not physically aging when transformed or aging very slowly. And Kaiju number 8, with an older lead, does give an underlying message of age is just a number. Now, for the sake of time, I'm going to speed through a few things. Kafka is painted as someone who has completely given up on his dreams multiple times and has slacked off due to it. He was rewarded with kaiju powers similar to weapons that are given to highly skilled task force members who've earned them through hard work and dedication. The side characters all lack development, and instead of having any type of arc, they get treated as just something to cut away to fill time. Why is the world not kaiju proof? There are only sensors and a whole lot of military weaponry. It would kind of make sense if it took place in America, but like walls are an easier way to evacuate or bunker civilians? Nah. They saved those walls for the training area. We can't let it look like the future version of Attack on Titan, but by doing that, it made it look like the entrance exam from My Hero Academia. The Defense Force somehow just becomes dumber when Kafka comes around. Why is he the only one with knowledge of kaiju biology, or the sense to analyze them to figure out how they work? The suit's power number is just a visualization of each person's inner confidence, and for some reason gives Call of Duty bullet damage percentage based on it. But you take an ordinary signpost, it structurally holds up to just being used like one of the kaiju weapons. Now, when it comes to atmosphere, animation, art, etc., it's solid. I have nothing to complain about. Production IG does great work, but I do have to say that's expected in current year, so it doesn't get any points of merit. Those animators do great work, and with it becoming standard, it shines a spotlight on poorly written stories. No amount of impact frames or 3D spliced environment destruction will ever fix that issue. By the way, I wouldn't say that I'm one of those jaded anime watchers who nitpick tropes or are upset with the copy and paste aspect of different media. I get it, some things can be blatantly obvious, overused, or downright the same. But if you get upset with seeing similar tropes, I think it's more of a you problem, or your frustration is pointed in the wrong direction. It's ultimately how those tools are utilized in the process and how they end up reflecting in the finished product that helps shape the story being told. With that being said, the problem I have with Kaiju number 8 is not the underutilized tropes or the uncertain plot direction, or any of the nitpickiness I've mentioned already. It's that it's an amalgamation of too many popular series masquerading as this hot piece of work, touted as a contender for the next big three, when in reality it's just a bunch of random pieces all chucked into a blender as if it was some sort of alcoholic tropical beverage your divorced mom drinks half naked by the pool. The only ones eyeing that and gassing it up are your creepy old neighbors, and that's because it's the first time they've seen that sort of view in 20 years. This leads me back to why I think Kaiju number 8 is an industry plan. And before I start throwing numbers at you, remember, Mark Twain once said there are 3 types of falsehoods: lies, damn lies, and statistics. It was to highlight the deceptive potential of statistics and suggested that they can be more misleading than outright lies. Now, when you think of anime, most people usually disregard where it comes from. Yes, there are original anime, but Most series come from manga adaptations. With everything digital, most people read manga online. So if you want to give a value of importance to what manga is to anime, I'd put that number fairly high. Now shifting to a different angle, the most recent Anime of the Year award went to Solo Leveling, a series that was serialized on Mumpai, and then received a manga adaptation on a Korean-style webtoon site, not to be confused with Webtoon, the platform, which also does Korean-style webtoons. You can see that there might be a reason to have a site dedicated to online manga. Well, if you did not know, Shonen Jump does have an online platform called Shonen Jump Plus, and up until recently, did they start changing how and what was released on the platform. Just a little backstory. It originally launched way back on September 22nd of 2014, and unlike its print counterpart, it was less strict in what it would allow to be published, and its demographic was aimed toward female and adult readers. Before 2020, the two most popular series on the platform were Spy X Family and Hell's Paradise, with views of 500 million plus for Spy X Family and 200 million plus for Hell's Paradise. Following in third in popularity at the time with 40 million plus views was 2.5 Dimensional Seduction. The year prior was when Manga Plus launched, the global version of Shonen Jump Plus. And at the time, something was missing. And that was a typical shonen series. Wait, you might be asking yourself, where does Solo Leveling come into play? By 2020, Solo Leveling was halfway through its digital webtoon adaptation, and it was on multiple platforms, Kako Page, the Japanese version, and Pakoma, the global version, along with some smaller sites. Now, exact numbers are hard to come by, but by the end of 2019, Solo Leveling was ranked number 1 on their best of list, and downloads were hitting 200 million for the series, along with the Pakoma app reaching 20 million downloads. And then, all of a sudden, Kaiju number 8 starts its serialization at the end of 2020. Lining up the two series and their announcements for anime adaptations, you have Solo Leveling in July of 2022 and Kaiju number 8 in August of 2022. Now you might be asking, what's the correlation? If you do not know, the physical magazine purchases of Shonen Jump have been slowly decreasing for some time now. And, like I said, digital manga is the means of the future. Shonen Jump needed to expand its online platform reach, but also start aligning itself to what the print version is doing. Looking at the online platform's demographic, females and adults, and mixing it with its bread and butter, the shonen genre, Kaiju number 8 hits both of those markers. It wasn't until March of 2021 that Kaiju number 8 showed up in the rankings on Oricon. Then the series eventually hit number 10 on Oricon's top 10 yearly sales ranking in the year 2022, just 4 months after the anime announcement for the series. The series, according to Yuta Omiyama, the deputy editor-in-chief of Shonen Jump Plus, said it was the fastest series on the platform to hit 30 million views. Along with that, Kaiju number 8 garnered other accolades such as the Fandom Post's list of the 12 best manga series of 2020, Polygon's list of best comics in 2021, Kotaku's list of 11 best manga series in 2021, and the School Library Journal, which ranked it in the top 10 manga of 2021. Which in my opinion makes it sound lackluster compared to the marketing they were pushing when the anime was getting close to release. When diving into the actual numbers around the acclaim of the series, it becomes hard to track. As for the views, the online platform Shonen Jump Plus is technically split. Shonen Jump Plus is Japan, China, and South Korea only, while Manga Plus is everywhere else worldwide. Manga Plus shows view counts. Other than that, finding specific data isn't accessible. While Shonen Jump Plus's exact view counts are not publicly available, as it's all internal metrics. So honestly, it boils down to just trusting the numbers they post. And the next numbers to look at were from Oricon, the sales. And those numbers are estimates. Side note, Oricon is a statistics company for most of the entertainment in Japan. And when I say those numbers are estimates, it's because it doesn't track all sales. It's for Japan only, and only for physical purchases. There's an asterisk I want to put here, as some stores might count digital sales in their reporting, and not all stores are included. along with whether the item was in a bundle or a special, making it into the numbers as well. So the numbers aren't exactly concrete, but there is a site to go through the numbers of sales per volume and series by week, month, and year. Now granted, this info is all put together by Manga Codex, a third party, who get the numbers directly from compiled forums and websites that come from posts made public by Oricon themselves. So we can also say those numbers are estimates, as to get access to Oricon's numbers directly, you have to pay a very expensive amount of money to get exact figures, and I can't money spread like that. But looking at the numbers for Kaiju number 8, the numbers appear slightly different when looking per month of the year. A typical series will have numbers for sales for multiple volumes for that given month. Kaiju number 8, on the other hand, doesn't. It'll have one volume and the sales for that month, and you won't see any sales until later in the year from that series, and it will be for an entirely different volume. Even though the data is open-ended in a way, it all feels weird in my opinion, like something's missing. Now, I'm not saying, suggesting, alluring, or any type of language that those numbers are incorrect. I'm just looking at the data available and pointing out what I see. I'd never accuse anyone of manipulating statistics, especially since Oricon was cleared of such accusations back in 2006. Talking about 2006, it was the year for the mangaka of Kaiju number 8's Matsumoto Naoya to make their debut, and he also happens to be the man who does the stunts in the Godzilla movies. Actually, no. That's just a weird coincidence. Or is it? But he did have early ties to Shonen Jump Plus when the platform launched, so you could say he was a day one homie. And there has been an established relationship before Kaiju number 8's success. And you know how they say it's not what you know, but who you know? In the business world, they call that networking. But that doesn't always end at a person-to-person level. That extends further sometimes. That could be groups, business partners, or even companies you own. So instead of looking down the chain, I wanted to look up. Shonen Jump, along with Shonen Jump Plus and Manga Plus, are all owned by the publishing company Shueisha. They also own a few other manga magazines along with a few subsidiaries. That's just a fancy word for a company that is completely or partially owned by a parent company that controls the legal and financial aspects of said child company. One of these subsidiaries goes by the name of Viz Media. You might have heard of them, an American company that distributes anime and manga. Back in 2012 though, Viz had its own anime streaming service called Neon Alley, which ended up failing in 2016 and ended up being absorbed into Hulu. Now, Hulu is a Disney-owned company, but there is a separately owned company in Japan called Hulu Japan, which is owned by Nippon Television. And surprisingly, they own the majority stake in the animation company Tatsunoko Production, which has a separate division by the name of Production IG, the animation studio that worked on Kaiju number 8. Now, going back to Hulu America, in 2016 they had deals with Funimation, Aniplex of America, Viz Media, and Sentai Filmworks. The thing about Funimation is that they worked out a partnership with Viz in 2020 to be able to distribute Viz Media titles. But before that, Funimation and Crunchyroll had a partnership that ended in 2018 because Sony acquired Funimation, and AT&T ended up acquiring the company that owned Crunchyroll. Then in 2019, Crunchyroll partnered with Viz Media to distribute select titles. During that year, Crunchyroll announced a partnership with Webtoon to help produce animated adaptations of its series. Fast forward to 2020, Crunchyroll partners with Sentai Filmworks to distribute some of their titles. Now, remember when I said Kaiju number 8 started serialization in 2020? Well, it started only in Japan in July of 2020. And then Viz started publishing for everywhere outside of Japan in August of 2020. Something big happened in 2020, and that was when rumors of Sony looking to buy Crunchyroll emerged, and right in 2021 they fully acquired the company. Then Sony took Funimation and combined it with Crunchyroll under the Crunchyroll name, leaving Sony with an anime streaming service that has many established partners with anime distribution companies, a partnership with Webtoon, an online platform South Korean manga. On top of that, Crunchyroll has an alliance since 2016 with Kadokawa Corporation for exclusive worldwide digital distribution rights. And Crunchyroll has the right to co-finance Kadokawa anime produced in the future. who then allied with Sony, and recently there were rumors that Sony might be acquiring them as well. Kadokawa is not only a publisher like Shueisha, but they also deal with video games. At this point, you might be asking, what has this got to do with solo leveling? Well, remember when I said that Pacoma Company was the one that had been doing the digital adaptation for solo leveling? Well, before the co-CEO of Pacoma, Joseph Chang, joined the company, he was the CEO of Sony Music Korea and co-CEO of Sony Music Entertainment's Asia Hub. Now, who did the animation for solo leveling? That's right, A1 Pictures. And who owns A1 Pictures? Aniplex. And who owns them? Sony. Solo Leveling was also produced by Aniplex, Crunchyroll, and Kako Pacoma, which is funny because Crunchyroll also does the Anime Awards, and if you are unsure how the awards work, I'd recommend you look into how each series are nominated and how much the public vote actually counts. But that's a separate topic in itself. The main takeaway is that Sony has a lot of control in the anime, manga, and webtoon world now, while Nippon TV only really has Hulu Japan, Viz Media, Shueisha, which comes down to Shonen Jump, Shonen Jump Plus, Manga Plus, and most recently announced Viz Manga. Now this is why I believe Kaiju number 8 is an industry plan. With anime mostly coming from manga adaptations, you can say whoever controls the manga controls the anime. If you did not know, when a manga gets an anime adaptation, the manga's publishing company usually gets revenue via share of the profits. And like I said, with Weekly Shonen Jump's magazine circulation steadily declining since 1995, by the way, there has been more of a motive to transition to digital. With the online platform Shonen Jump Plus established, it needed a way to transition itself along with the demographic to online. Because Shonen Jump Plus was originally targeting adults and women, how do you do that? Well, you get a series that targets the site's demographic, but you add the shonen genre flair to it, and you push it and market it as a hit. Insert Kaiju number 8. Once the site starts to pick up actual traction and the direction shift, then you can end the series and move on. That's what happened. Chainsaw Man's second arc serialized on Shonen Jump Plus along with Dandadan, and now you have Ruri Dragon being serialized on both? And the biggest complaint everyone has about Kaiju number 8's ending is that it felt rushed and open-ended. And that's why I believe Kaiju number 8 is an industry plan. I tried to keep this as short as possible. If you are still here, thank you for keeping up with my conspiracy ramblings. I don't usually do videos like this. I love a wide range of genres and series, and I don't tend to dislike series. But I did want to shake things up a bit. I will be continuing to work on future anime videos. If you are upset, or if you agree, or if you think I'm just straight crazy, leave me a comment, subscribe, anything helps. With that, I'm Josh. Have a wonderful rest of your day.